वेलकम बैक 90.4 मेगा हर्ट्स और कम्युनिटी रेडियो ज्ञान की वाणी ज्ञान वाणी यानी कि ज्ञान वाणी। और आज ज्ञान को बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ाने का वक्त था, जो कि बढ़ा भी। काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें हमें पता चली। अब मेरे पास जो हैं, मेरे साथ हैं मुस्कान, जो लावण्या की फ्रेंड भी हैं, और दोनों क्योंकि स्टूडेंट हैं लॉ की। और अब स्टूडेंट तो नहीं कहना सही नहीं होगा, बल्कि अब ये कहना चाहिए कि वो वकील ही हैं, पूरी तरह से लॉयर ही हैं। और उनका फाइनल ईयर अब आ गया है एंड डेफिनेटली वो पास कर लेंगे उसे, और उसके बाद लॉयर बन भी जाएंगे। अब कुछ क्वेश्चन मैं उनसे पूछूंगा, और वो क्वेश्चन सीधे सीधे होंगे आपसे मुस्कान, डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस के बारे में। मुस्कान, आप कैसे हो? हेलो, हाय।
Hi Abhinav, thank you so much for inviting me to the show.
वेलकम वेलकम जी, बिल्कुल। और हम आगे भी चाहेंगे कि आप आते रहें, क्योंकि अभी बात करनी रह गई है, कुछ और मुद्दे हैं मेरे पास उसके बारे में। लेकिन सबसे पहले हम बात करते हैं डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस के बारे में और क्रुएल्टी अगेंस्ट मैन के बारे में। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल ये बताइए कि प्लीज़ ये क्या है, और इस लॉ को कैसे यूज़ किया जा रहा है, और इस लॉ का गलत यूज़ भी कैसे किया जा रहा है, क्योंकि हमारे कॉमन मैन हैं जो इसके बारे में नहीं जानते, उन्हें भी पता चल जाए प्लीज़।
Right. So basically, cruelty के अंदर ही domestic violence आता है. And cruelty is something which can be anything: economic, physical, sexual, and also emotional. So there are many types of cruelty that happen. So if I give you the statistics of how the cruelty happens and like what are the major ways that cruelty happens against men. So there was a survey that was conducted. It was an online survey. Which was by Safe Family Foundation and My Nation Foundation. It was taken off a million men, and out of that 98.2% of men said that they face domestic violence or cruelty from their partners. And out of that, the first one that you will guess would be from would be around 34% of economic violence, then physical violence, then there was emotional violence, and the last one was a sexual violence.
So first of all, actually congratulations to you कि आपने एक बहुत अच्छा मुद्दा उठाया, और एक बहुत ज़रूरी मुद्दा उठाया है। क्योंकि कई बार क्या होता है कि हम एक पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू को तो लेकर चलते हैं, दूसरा पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू कभी किसी के सामने आता नहीं, आता भी है तो बहुत कम परसेंटेज में। मैं इसके लिए बहुत अपनी तरफ से बहुत खुश हूँ और हैप्पी हूँ कि एक्चुअली ये वाला मुद्दा उठाया, इसलिए प्लीज कंटिन्यू।
Right, exactly. Actually, if I talk about this, there are a lot of men who face all of these issues, but because of the social stigma of actually coming out and talking about their problems, and and how the society sees them after they do so, because this is a male-dominated society. Abhinav, you will also agree. So, because of that, people and males especially feel that they will be subjected to a lot of discrimination when they go to people, and especially the police itself makes them feel wrong about coming ahead. They are marked as effeminate and they're marked as weak if they come ahead and issue their problems
Definitely,
to the police. So in many cases, like there could be many ways why men do feel that way. That first could be obviously the general stereotype about men being strong and they cannot face any
The
problems.
patriarchal thought actually.
Exactly. So
Masculinity.
right, so masculinity couldn't be hurt. How can you be hurt by a woman? She's weaker than you, essentially, right? So that is the way the society sees a man who comes out. The other one is fear of fake cases. So there are also counter cases that come in. So let's say if a man is coming into the police station or he's filing a case against a woman for domestic violence, a woman might file a counter suit, and because of the laws being not gender neutral and them being favorable to women, what happens is that these women overtake the cases, and basically the cases, the judgment of the case will be in the favor of the woman itself.
Oh my God! But actually, sorry to interrupt you, but there is also one important point. That's why actually I was, always in support of Mr. Johnny Depp. Recently, actually, we have seen that Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, and was the case. That's why actually a lot of people said to Johnny that, thank God, Johnny, you are not actually in India. So otherwise, actually, you actually could be in a jail or in a bar.
For sure.
So it was like that.
Actually, beautifully mentioned, Abhinav. I have experience. I know that this case, especially if it comes to India, would would be going through a lot of scrutiny, because somebody like Johnny Depp, who was a famous celebrity, it will be assumed that he is a perpetrator, and the Amber Heard, the woman in the case, is the victim. So men are never seen as victims usually. Whenever there is a case between a man and a woman, usually the man is seen as a perpetrator.
He is actually accused and she is a victim.
Yeah, right. Always. So another way that why men actually and these cases go unreported is because, first of all, the issue of denial. A man in himself would not even feel that he is going through domestic violence. He wouldn't be aware that what I'm going through is domestic violence actually.
Yeah.
And then there is also the societal and family pressure. So there are a lot of Indians who live with their parents. They don't want to be separated by their children, and they don't want to be going through this whole process where they might be separated, and they might go through a lot of family pressure of people saying, why are you going out and doing
Definitely.
this?
So actually he actually has a sense of fear also.
Right. So because of these unreported cases that happen, what we see actually in the society right now is separations and bitter fights and divorces and depression and even suicides. So what I'm trying to say is that this reflects in the society in this way, but the real reason, the root of the cause is actually domestic violence and cruelty against men. So maybe when we see divorce cases, maybe when we see bitter fights and separations happening in society as people, not just as lawyers, we can just notice that maybe this man is going through a domestic violence. That is why the resultant of that is a bitter fight or a divorce or a separation. So I think we should be able to look into that way, and maybe we'll be able to help a lot of men in the society.
ओके अब मैं आपसे फिर एक और चीज़ पूछूंगा अब इसके लेकिन इससे रिलेटेड है, इससे थोड़ा सा और अलग मुद्दा है। तो ये वाली बात हुई थी एक्चुअली क्रूअल्टी अगेंस्ट मैन, ये डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस, और इसके साथ साथ अब ये होता है कि डावरी सिस्टम है। अब डावरी सिस्टम वाला एक और केस चलता है कि अक्सर अब क्योंकि वो कानून काफ़ी ज़्यादा पक्ष में रहता है, काफ़ी ज़्यादा एक्चुअली साइड में रहता है विमेन के, सो दे एक्चुअली यूज़ इट एज अ टूल और एज अ वेपन कि अब ठीक है एक्चुअली क्या है कि अगर मुझे किसी से बात करनी मैं बात कर लूँगी, अगर तुमने और कुछ ज़्यादा किया तो मैं तुम्हारे ऊपर एक केस दायर कर दूँगी। वैसे सारा सामान तो लेकर मैं जाऊँगी ही जाऊँगी और ज्वेलरी वगैरह मेरे पास आएगी, यू विल ऑल्सो गिव मी द मेंटेनेंस and you will also fight with me in the court. So please tell us about that.
Right, so this is actually one of the ways that cruelty is bestowed on men, which is the misuse of section 498A. So 498 essentially for the layman here is related to cruelty, and so there was, if I might enlighten you with a recent case that happened, there was a 30-year-old man called Pushkar Singh, and his wife Vinita was the one who was harassing him a lot, and he committed suicide in the end, where she was demanding him for 14 lakhs because as a compensation, because she had filed a case against him under this section. So in that the Supreme Court, taking the reins forward, they said that the concept of cruelty varies in terms of time, place, and individual. The court has even seen cases where the wife and her relatives have tried to take advantage of dowry and protection from domestic violence laws to take advantage and threaten the husband and its relative. So the court actually recognizes that women are doing that, they are misusing the law. And in a landmark case of Sushil Kumar Sharma versus Union of India, the Supreme Court held that section 498A was used as legal terrorism. So using that word, it actually shows that these dowry harassment cases and everything this section was meant to help them in that, the women in that, but they are actually misusing the law right now, and they're making, because of the strictness of the law, they are fulfilling their own demands and being selfish, and they are actually ruining families for generations ahead.
Definitely, that's actually the big word. The
Right.
dangerous word actually there was used.
Right.
Legal terrorism.
Legal terrorism, for sure. There are many such cases where it comes to misuse of section 498A. So men in general have to be very careful when they get married to somebody, and they have to. I think Abhinav is happy that he's not.
Yeah, I'm happy, and actually I have a friend now this time. Even actually I call her a friend. She can tell me, देखो ये कोर्ट है, ये लॉ है, इस हिसाब से चलना तुम. ये सब कुछ तुम सोच समझ कर चल रहा.
For sure. So there are many other cases where the Supreme Court has given us a lot of guidelines. In many cases, as Abhinav we were discussing before this, there are many police officers who just pick up the whole family. They even there were cases where the grandparents were bedridden and they were picked up and they were thrown into jail because of this section, because this section was actually used to empower women and to help them, but by arresting the whole family who is imparting cruelty on her. But so even the Supreme Court has given guidelines on how police officers are supposed to conduct themselves under reasonable suspicion.
Obviously.
So
but my question is that, sorry to interrupt you, but there was not any inspection or something like that, or any investigations.
usually in the starting of these cases there are no such investigations. They are supposed to do a preliminary investigation, usually in such big cases,
Yes.
but they have but usually because the power of the law is as such, and the societies when the law was enacted, it was meant to protect women in such a large fashion that they don't actually do it. It's never been a conduct of
So
them.
actually, what about the senior citizen, 60 plus, a mother and the father and the parents, or actually what about the children then? I
Right.
mean, they are thinking about that, or is there any changes in the law?
So there have been a lot of changes, and I
You can
think
tell us about that. Also, actually, you can tell us about what defenses then can a man take to protect himself of cruelty.
that's a great question.
Actually, you can also tell us about that कि अब वो changes कौन कौन से हैं जो आ गए हैं जो हम लोग जान लें. और प्लीज़ आप लोग भी ध्यान से सुनिएगा, आप लोगों को भी शायद इन चेंजेस को जानने की ज़रूरत पड़ सकती है.
Hope not. So basically, since you were talking about the changes in law, so in 2016, the Supreme Court ordered that the terms grown-up male and adult male, these
Okay.
two words have to be eliminated from the act, so that they can include the act of violence and domestic violence from going from a woman to a man. And the second was there was a case called Dr. N.G. Dastane versus S. Dastane, where the Supreme Court held that the physical cruelty is presumed to be mainly done by husband, but because he's powerful, and mental cruelty can be done by both husband and wife. Even a wife can do mental cruelty on husband. So because of this is being established in courts, I think the law knows where the problem is, and they are targeting that. So when it comes to defenses, I think that is a wonderful question, because the audience, your listeners here, should be knowing the defenses that they can opt for. So there are two approaches that I go by usually. One is the offensive approach, and the other is a defensive approach. So let's go with the defensive approach, because God forbid if this happens. So first is that collect as much electronic evidence as possible against the wife, recorded calls, chats, etc. That shows that he and his family has never demanded dowry or allegedly committed any kind of act. So the second one is apply for anticipatory bail. What is anticipatory bail? If you think that a person is going to file an FIR against you, you can or you, because of which you might end up in jail, then you can go to the court and apply for an anticipatory bail.
Wonderful.
And then there can be complaint against blackmailing or false allegations to the police. If the husband if not so there is another form of cruelty that I failed to mention here, which was that if, let's say, a woman is telling the husband that she will not have any sexual relations with him, that is also a form of cruelty. Withholding sexual relationships with your husband is also a form of
because
cruelty.
he is not being satisfied.
Right, exactly. That is his natural and legitimate need of a marriage. So that is why the husband can also file for restitution of conjugal rights under Section 9 of the Hindu Marriage Act. And then another advice from a lawyer's perspective would be to not settle with a perpetrator ever, and to raise awareness about your situation as much as possible. The other defense, in case of an offensive approach, if you want to do so, because we are addressing a lot of false evidences that come by, so under Section 191 of IPC, Section 192, 196, these all deal with false evidence and fabrication of evidence. Then 209 to 11, then the biggest defense possible for a husband is Section 227. This deals with the section states that situations of discharge, and if the husband has enough proof that the wife is alleging false complaints, then he can file an application under this section. So this is a very powerful section that is usually used by lawyers.
So you mean to say actually in the court he can file the application?
Right. Because all of these places, what comes ahead is that if the woman, it's easier for the woman to come ahead with a lot of evidences, because an intimate relationship, what happens behind the doors, the court wouldn't know, the people wouldn't know.
Definitely.
So that is why there are a lot of defenses for men. If they feel that there are false evidences coming ahead, then they can go through these sections. The last one I would like to mention is Section 167. If the police officers refuse to file an FIR, or they help the wife in making a false complaint, then they can be approached under this section, and Section 182 of the Indian Penal Code 2 can be used.
So इसमें एक्चुअली दो सवाल और हैं, वो ये है कि एक्चुअली अगर आपके साथ कोई आपके कहने पर FIR लॉन्च नहीं कर रहा है, then you can go to the court के आप वो FR फाइनली जो मिलती है कि वो या तो वो हो जाए, या कोर्ट उनको आदेश देता है कि आप तो आप नहीं कर रहे हो, तो आप कोर्ट की तरफ से आदेश आया, then एक्चुअली आपको FIR लॉन्च करनी पड़ेगी, और the zero FIR ऐसा कुछ.
So basically, zero FIR is an entirely different concept. What happens is that usually, if somebody is not filing your FIR, the first approach is not to actually approach the court. They actually see if you have climbed the ladders of the justice, of any way of justice that you can get. So you can go to the senior officer if the junior officer is not taking your case. Then if the senior officer is also not taking it, then you can go to the commissioner. You can write a letter to the person, and then after that, if he's not taking the case, then you can go to the court and then apply that I have used every means of legal remedy possible, and I was not able to get my hands on justice, so that is why I'm approaching you with clean hands.
एक और सवाल है मेरे पास, वो एक्चुअली मैंने किया था और मेरे दोस्त के थ्रू ऐसा हुआ था कि अगर आपको कोई धमकी देने वाला है और ये बात आपको पहले से पता है, तो क्या आप इस वाले केस में ऐसा हो सकता है डाउरी वाले सिस्टम में कि अगर आप पुलिस के पास खुद जाएं और बोलेंगे देखो मुझे मालूम है कि इतने दिनों में मुझे इनसे या तो कोई नुकसान झेलना पड़ सकता है या ऐसा कुछ धमकी वगैरह खत आ सकता है, लेटर आ सकता है, धमकियाँ आ सकती है, तो प्लीज़ मेरी तरफ से आप पहले से मैं पुलिस को एक रिमाइंडर दे रहा हूँ. सो दे एक्चुअली ऑल्सो लॉज अ कंप्लेंट और वो आपको एक पूरा पेपर देते हैं कि दैट इज़ फॉर यू कि अगर आप ऐसा कुछ फ्यूचर में होता है तो यू कैन टेल अस.
Not really. I don't think that there is any way that you can do that, but there is a section. That is a section which is under section 120B. The husband can allege that his wife is committing a criminal conspiracy against him. So under this section, the court can be approached, and the other way that he can be using it is that if the wife is already filed a case, let's say on the contrary she has already gone, and so under section 209 of IPC, it can be approached, like the court can be approached for making false claims in the court. The wife can be approached.
थैंक यू सो मच मुस्कान. एक्चुअली बहुत सारे सवालों का आपने बहुत अच्छे से जवाब दिया और बहुत लीगल वे में जवाब दिया, बिल्कुल कानूनन भाषा में, और वो भी बहुत सरल भाषा में. तो अक्सर कानून भाषा ये सोचते हैं कि हमें जल्दी समझ में नहीं आएगा ऐसा कुछ, तो प्लीज़ इस मामले में घबराने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. अगर आप वकीलों के पास जाते हैं तो बिल्कुल आप उनसे सलाहें भी ले सकते हैं. ज़रूरी नहीं कि हर वकील आपसे सबसे पहले फीस मांगे, ऐसा बिल्कुल नहीं होता है. वो आपको सही सलाह ही देते हैं. इसके अलावा इसके तरफ मेरे पास कुछ सवाल हैं. वो सवाल अब ये हैं जो आपसे कुछ पर्सनली मैं जानना चाहूँगा, पर्सनल क्वेश्चन. वो ये हैं कि आपने तो लॉयर होना अगर चूज़ किया, लॉयर बनना चूज़ किया, तो क्यों किया, और उसके बाद डी वाई पाटिल यूनिवर्सिटी में ही आपने स्कूल ऑफ लॉ में एडमिशन लिया. सो वाई?
Okay, so quite exciting. Actually, when I was very young, when I was in 10th grade, I was given an IQ test, and which was a career test sort of way to figure out where I'll be good at. So before I
intelligent actually, it feels.
before I took the test, thank you so much. Before I took the test, I decided that I'm good at public speaking, and I have an analytical way of going about it. So
that we can also actually tell about. You're good at public speaking. Yes, please continue.
Thank you so much. So, so that is the way that. So I was deciding that what to choose. So the first career option that I had was a public speaker, and the second was a lawyer. So I believe that my analytical decision actually worked well for me because I ended up in School of Law. And D.Y. Patil School of Law, I was approached by them through a phone call, and I am a resident of Delhi. So I was approached then, and I just came here to visit, just to see. I wanted to visit Bombay for the first time. This was a great opportunity. So I came here. I saw the facilities in the college. I saw how the faculty interacts with the students, and I really saw a lot of potential in spending 5 years of my time, money, energy here. And I love the city of Bombay. I love D.Y. Patil.
अच्छा, और इसके साथ साथ फिर ये भी होता है कि व्हाट यू से अबाउट योर फैकल्टी से बहुत ज़्यादा जानने को सीखने को मिल रहा है. यहाँ पर एक पूरा का स्टेडियम है और हम लोग एक्चुअली जिम्नेजियम यूज़ कर सकते हैं और स्पोर्ट्स खेल सकते हैं. IPL बीच बीच में होता रहता है. चलो ठीक है यार, पढ़ाई की पढ़ाई, पार्टी की पार्टी, वर्क हार्ड पार्टी हार्ड, समथिंग लाइक दैट.
For sure, I think D.Y. Patil is the best place to do that. And talking about my faculties here, my faculties are absolutely brilliant. I have to say, like, hands down, they are one of the people who have experiences from all spectrums of life, and they have come here, and the kindness and the way that they teach us, the way that they are the torch bearers of our education, and they have taken it in their hands, and how. It's wonderful that they are actually contributing so much to our 5 years. I bet the next year when I'm going to graduate from here, I am going to be in tears.
Okay, that's very beautiful. That's very nicely put up, and you have said a lot of thing about that. अब दोबारा हम लोगों की मुलाकात जल्दी होगी मुस्कान से और लावण्या से, और कार्तिक तो यहाँ पर हैं. इन्होंने बहुत सारी चीज़ें यहाँ पर आप शूट की हैं, वो आप लोगों को बाद में हम लोगों की साइट पर भी देखने के लिए मिल जाएंगी. थिंग इज दैट कि अगली बार अब जब मैं आने वाला हूँ तो शंकर शेष का एक नाटक है फंदी, उसके बारे में हम कुछ चीज़ों को लेकर बात करेंगे, और यूथनेशिया पर हम लोग बात करेंगे. अब इच्छा मृत्यु क्या है और उसके बारे में बात की जा सकती है. अभी तक इंडिया में उसको ऑफिशियली कुछ अभी परमिशन नहीं दी गई है. मुश्किल से 1 या 2 केस में बहुत मुश्किल से ऐसा कुछ हुआ था कि अब फाइनली कोर्ट शायद अपनी तरफ से परमिशन दे दे. तो हम उस इच्छा मृत्यु पर और दया मृत्यु पर बात करेंगे, मर्सी किलिंग पर. इट्स नॉट एक्चुअली लाइक द मर्सी किलिंग, लेकिन अगर आपको इन्फॉर्मेशन दे दी जाए और आपको बोल दिया जाए कि ठीक है अब आपके लिए हमारी तरफ से परमिशन है. सो ये थे हम लोग यहाँ पर लावण्या के साथ और मुस्कान के साथ, और डेफिनेटली उन्होंने इस तरह से कई सारी बातें कही हैं कि लोगों के चेहरे पर मुस्कान आ चुकी होगी, और हम लोग दोबारा आप लोगों से ज़रूर मिलेंगे कम्युनिटी रेडियो पर. तब तक बने रहिए हम लोगों के साथ 90.4 मेगाहर्ट्ज़ ज्ञानवाणी. थैंक यू सो मच.